Tonight's the night, Dexter fans, because Dexter Original Sin Episode 4, Fender Bender, just released, and now we're going to break it down. We open on a couple roller skating where they discover a corpse hanging from a bridge. It's the little boy we were seeing teased in earlier episodes. Miami Metro get us onto the scene and Dexter is put off yet again. This is obviously because of the fear rooted deep down within him from watching his mother die as a child. Harry sends Dexter away to work on something else and Dexter apologizes, to which he is told it's normal to feel this way about seeing a murdered child. He's finally feeling some human emotion, and frankly, he doesn't know how to feel about it. We cut to Deb, who wants to go to the beach with her team, but unfortunately Harry has taken the truck to work, so she can't get them there. Dexter and this police officer have a nice discussion about bottling up feelings, which hits a bit too close home for him, knowing that he's doing the exact same thing, and it's what's causing his violence. Over on Coconut Grove, Maria LaGuerta puts Dexter on forensics. I believe this is the same place where Deb was working as a prostitute in Season 1. As they mentioned, this is the right place for sex workers. Dexter gets to work and makes an educated guess on how the victim was killed, which only pisses LaGuerta off, because she wants forensics and not hunches. When a coroner refuses to move a body because he doesn't want to get AIDS, Dexter is all too happy to get his hands on and move it. Back to Deb and her team. They're about to get to the bus to go to the beach when her rival Tiffany pulls up in a new car and doesn't allow Deb or her friend, whose name I've forgotten, in, instead driving the rest to the beach without them. Paranoid about Dexter's fear earlier at the crime scene, Harry rushes to Camilla to triple check all mentions of him have been removed from Laura Moser's case file. Flashing back, and Harry and Bobby are about to see Laura, but not before Bobby pisses Harry off when he calls him out for his relationship with Laura and how it will probably interfere with their investigation. Laura's babysitter is cancelled, which means she can't go to the bust. Bobby suggests the neighbours look after Dexter and Brian, but they just won't have it. They just won't watch Brian anymore. Something about going into the freezer and touching all the ice. Okay, obvious joke, but the real reason they won't do it is they just say he's too much. Harry offers to watch them. Back to Deb's plot, and she's going to buy some weed and is ultimately swayed into getting some coke too when she tries it and likes it. Apparently that love never dies out because she's all too quick to get back on it while being undercover in Season 8, as we saw. Wanting to blow off some steam after seeing Jimmy Powell dead, Dexter decides to take part in his favourite hobby, stalking a kill. Dexter and Harry talk, and Dexter tells Harry he needs to kill someone ASAP because he thinks if he doesn't, his violent tendencies are going to come out in ways he can't control. Even though Harry's apprehensive because Dexter only killed someone a few days ago, he hears him out. Dexter explains that there's this hitman, a contract killer for the mob, named Mad Dog. He's now masquerading as a retired fisherman. Harry tells Dexter this could be dangerous as he's going after a trained killer, someone who's killed hundreds by the sounds of it. But Dexter seems to think that he'll be okay. After all, he's a trained killer as well, is he not? Who else is going to fit the code more? Harry isn't going to allow it though until he gets some proof. Deb walks in the middle of this little meeting. She kicks off at Dexter for not telling Harry that she made captain on the team, and then kicks off at Harry for not giving her the truck. Harry explains he needed it because the child was murdered and that the beach is not important. She apologizes, saying she couldn't have known. She's getting emotional, and Harry realizes that her eyeballs are off the charts, which is when she storms out. Dexter's got permission from dear old dad to go kill, so now he's on the observational portion of the code. Once again, he just can't resist getting up close and personal. Dexter pretends to be interested in chartering the boat, and the hitman gives him a business card with an address on it. Dexter obviously breaks in to try and get evidence. Once he's in the house, Dexter is not being sneaky at all. He saunters about and uses the man's back scratcher. Dexter finds a shredded photo of a man he suspects to be a victim and knows he has to put it back together himself. Miami Metro doing some work on the Jimmy Powell case. They discovered that the death of Jimmy was by an ice pick to the back of the neck. Truthfully, they've got no idea what this killer's motive is or what they're going to do about catching him. Spencer's wife turns up and they go to his office where we learn that she cheated on him because he was never present with his family, choosing to pick his police one over his actual one. So, when she demands he takes his kid Nikki to a football game, he's a bit preoccupied with the killing again, just proving her point. Dexter decides to cheer the kid up in a scene I fucking love. It's just like really human and actually quite sweet for this serial killer. They bond over video games and chocolate and it's great. I love it. Dexter explains his blood work, stating that the victim's heart was not pumping when he hit the ground and using some cantaloupes to show how the blood went. It's cool how we get to see him recreate that style of evidence and like presenting it. I don't know what you would call it, but it's cool. I like it, and I loved it in the original series, so it's nice to see it back. Deb and her friend are looking to get into a club. Dexter finishes piecing together the shredded victim, and he gives him everything he needs. He discovers that this man is Mad Dog's next victim, and now that there's a life on the line, he's not playing about. Dexter gets asked by a cop if he has a brother, and he says he doesn't because he doesn't know about Brian just yet. In the club, Deb enacts a scheme to get some free booze, which ends up coming from a middleweight boxing champion. This guy in the club flirts with her, essentially saying she's got some balls for trying some shit like that. The guy has to split and gives Deb his card. Dexter and Harry have an argument once more about Mad Dog being too advanced for Dexter to go up against, but Harry ultimately resigns and lets him do it. Flashing back, we see Harry making Dexter and Brian some snacks. He comes out and Brian is torturing an animal by the looks of it, and he doesn't seem too bothered about Dexter having run off. This just doesn't match Brian at all in the original series for me. I mean, he very clearly loved his brother when he was little, so I just don't like this reimagination of him where he just couldn't give a fuck about Dexter. It's made very clear that these two were made monsters after watching their mother die, and yet Brian already seems to be a bit of a freak by torturing animals and stuff. Call it lazy writing, call it an oversight, call it a retcon. No matter what way you slice it, I don't like it. Harry finds Dexter in the end anyway, so it doesn't matter. Dexter plans to kill Mad Dog on his boat while they're out at sea, but it goes tits up when he finds out that other people are going to be there too. Out at sea, Dexter starts to feel a bit envious about how well Mad Dog blends in with other people. I also think this could be the precursor to him using a boat to dump bodies. Dexter and Mad Dog have a discussion about killing people under the guise of foreclosing houses, and when things take a wrong turn, Dexter is able to avoid a confrontation when the other people on the boat catch something. Lucky guy. Deb calls the guy from the club and they go out. He finds out she's still in school, and to be frank, he simply doesn't care. Americans, is this normal? Because over here in England, you'd be branded an absolute freak for doing that. Harry gets home and hears the voice message Deb left to get away with being with a man, and he's just annoyed that it's not even a good excuse. Flashing back, and Laura gets home to find Harry asleep. He soon wakes and learns that Estrada now knows what Laura's up to and really likes it. He and Laura finally hook up. When Dexter finally goes for the kill, it seems Harry was right and that it was too dangerous because Mad Dog wakes up before he's been fully tied down and attacks Dexter. He nearly suffocates him, but Dex gets the upper hand for a minute before Mad Dog ultimately escapes, and they're in a chase in the middle of the street. Mad Dog basically fully naked from being in the middle of being prepped for the kill. But before Dex can get to him, he's run down by a car. God, Dexter is bad at this. But that was episode 4 of Dexter Original Sin, Fender Bender. What did you all think? What are your thoughts? Are you excited for the next episode? Tell me everything down below, and make sure to subscribe because we're going to be back here yet again for episode 5, F is for Fuck. Goodbye.